Hello and welcome to Maker Bell, where I make things that are usually not bells. I moved to a different state last year, which means moving away from some of my favorite local food places. And since it's apparently unreasonable to drive 1,700 miles to get some food, I'm going to be making my favorite meal from Chino Bandido's, which is a little restaurant that combines Mexican and Asian food. Today, I'm going to be making the teriyaki chicken with refried beans and fried rice. They're also known for their wonderful snickerdoodles, so of course I have to make some of those too. First, I'm prepping the sauce for the teriyaki chicken. I mince up 6 cloves of garlic and a piece of ginger. For this recipe, I'm following the New York Times chicken teriyaki recipe. The website used to show me the recipe, but now it just wants me to log in and pay for a subscription fee. It's fine, I took a screenshot of it. I have links to all the recipes that I use in the description. I add the garlic and ginger mixture, a little less than half a cup of soy sauce. The recipe calls for 1 cup, but I like it to be a little less salty and more sweet. A cup of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of cinnamon instead of a 3-inch stick of cinnamon because nobody has cinnamon sticks, a whole bunch of pineapple juice. The recipe calls for a tablespoon, but I add way more because I like it when it's more sweet. I turn the stove on and also start the rice in my rice cooker. Cooking while filming is hard and distracting. Look at this! I have the sound muted during most of this because I'm listening to an audiobook, but I go, no! I promise this doesn't usually happen and I know how to cook. The sauce got too toasty and boiled over. Look at this mess! Actually, don't look at it, just pretend it didn't happen. Anyways, I continue to stir the sauce until it's all cooked. I chopped up the chicken off camera and then I add some peanut oil to it. I'm trying to get really tender chicken and heard about a technique called velveting the chicken, where you let it absorb some oil before cooking it. I mix that together, let it sit for a while, and then scoop in most of the sauce. The recipe doesn't call for marinating the chicken overnight, but I think it'll make it so tasty. Next, I'm baking the snickerdoodles. I add 2 cups of flour, 1/4 a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 a teaspoon of cream of tartar. I thought that cream of tartar would be a cream, but nope, it's a powder, which is actually way more helpful because I can store it for forever and it won't go bad. I mix up all the dry ingredients. For the wet ingredients, I add half a cup of butter and a cup of sugar and get those all mixed. Then I add an egg, 1/4 a cup of milk, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and the bottle is way more full than I expect, so I have a bit of a problem with that, and mix the wet ingredients together. About this recipe, I haven't actually made these before, but one of my friends has, and they're the best snickerdoodles. Okay, maybe not quite as good as the ones from Chino Bandido, but that's not fair, because those ones are probably made with unicorn tears and dragon scales. I don't know, they're so good it's magical. Anyways, my friend would sometimes make these cookies and bring them to school like 5 or 6 years ago, and they were so good. I finally got the recipe from her. Here it is. I followed the half batch one with the handwritten amounts. You see how there's an 8 written over the number here? Yeah, I did that after making these cookies for the first time. I thought it was a 4, but it was actually an 8, so I added twice as much milk. I realized that something was wrong when I finished mixing everything together since the cookie dough was way more liquidy than normal. But it's too late now, so I continue to roll them into 1-inch balls and coat them in a mixture of 3 tablespoons sugar and 1 teaspoon cinnamon. Then I put them in the oven at 375 degrees for 8 minutes. They had too much milk, but did they turn out? Let's see! Oh, they are so fluffy. Those look like cookies to me. I think they'll be okay. Maybe. I tried some of one and it definitely has more of a cakey texture, but it's still pretty good. I promise I know how to bake and cook and stuff. This is just not going very well. I put all the cookies away and that's it for day 1. The next day I start by chopping up a yellow onion. I'll be using half of it in the refried beans and the other half in the fried rice. I wore a respirator and safety glasses as a joke, but it actually ended up helping. Then I minced up 2 more cloves of garlic for the refried beans. I add some peanut oil to the wok for fried rice and olive oil to the pot for the refried beans. Then I do a lot of multitasking. I add the onions and onion garlic mixture and cook those, stirring them occasionally. I added in 29 ounces of pinto beans to the back one. More cooking! I added in some soy sauce and sesame oil to the front one, then 2 eggs. Am I secretly just making scrambled eggs? Maybe. I add half a teaspoon of chicken bouillon to the beans and half a cup of water. Then some peas, 4 chopped green onions, and rice to the fried rice. I mix the absolute heck out of the rice. This whole time I'm keeping the beans on a lower heat and mostly focus on the fried rice since I plan on using the wok to cook the chicken as well. Add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and mix it even more. When the rice is done, I set it aside and return my attention to the beans. Using a potato masher, I smash them to death for a while. I've made teriyaki chicken, fried rice, and cookies before, but haven't made refried beans before, so I have no idea what to expect. The recipe recommends starting with dried beans instead of canned, but I didn't really want to deal with that, so I just went with canned. This is still more legit than buying a can of refried beans. I readjust my camera so that you can see some of these glorious beans. I squish in half a lime, then add in a teaspoon of oregano, salt, and smoked paprika. I cleaned the wok and scooped in the marinated chicken. I cooked the chicken until it was done, stirring it pretty often. Here's a bit more information about Chino Bandido. I used to go there a lot as a kid and it was just always the best. They have this really cool scary panda statue thing. I'll see if I can find a picture of it. The restaurant first opened in 1990 and later moved to a larger place, which is where I've always gone to. Then they moved into a different location in 2021 and I still haven't been to the new location. It's also been featured on the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
I tried a bit of everything and it is so good. I cannot believe how good it is. I didn't film myself eating it because that's weird. Don't look at me. The only slightly disappointing thing was the snickerdoodle because I didn't or added too much milk, but it's just a little more cakey. It still tastes so good. And the chicken is so tender, the velveting or the marinating it, one of those two, made it so tender. I just can't believe how good it is. Okay, I'm gonna get back to eating it. I'll end this video later. This is too good. I'm back with my nice clean kitchen and this was such a success. I don't want to say that it was better than Chino's, but it was really good. I got to adjust the recipe and make it how I want it to taste and all that. Let me know if you want to see something like this again, if you want to see me baking or cooking. This was way different than I usually do, but it's still technically making something. Please like the video to appease the algorithm and check out this video where I make a giant donut. It's not real food, but it's a donut. And check out this video where I do another thing. Thanks for watching, bye!